You know what I think? I think it's impossible for Trump supporters to argue in good faith in any way. Because you can just take any example of anything that's happened. So if they think the Democrats did something, right? Let's take Black Lives Matter protests. Some of those protests got violent, and they capitalized so hard on the violence of the BLM protests, right? Even though there was so much information about how a lot of the violent protesters actually breaking a lot of shit were actually just MAGA people in disguise, pretending to be protesters to make it look worse, because where have we seen that before? Oh, every single other protest. Yeah. And then that's when they project the whole, false flag operation thing, because that's what they're doing. Anytime these people accuse us of anything, it's because that's what they're doing or it's what they're planning on doing. That is just a fact. That is an absolute fact that I have learned about these people. It's set in stone. That's how they always act. So that's their reaction to, the Black Lives Matter protests. And then they go so far as to be like, back the blue, because the cops are the ones who killed George Floyd. And so tell me you're not racist. Anyways, so let's take January 6th, for example. January 6th happens. We all watch it live with our own eyeballs, listening with our own ears all day long, like 9/11. We all sat there and we watched that thing happen. We watched it go down. We watched all the news for hours and hours. We saw it all with our own eyeballs. And then they turn around and they try to be like, oh, it was a peaceful protest. Bro, we saw it. Like, we saw it. All of us saw it. And then to add to the bad faith contradiction, one of the things these people did during January 6th was beat up the cops that they said they were backing a year earlier. But they still pushed this whole narrative of, oh, well, that didn't happen like that. It wasn't that. It's just the media lying. Lying with fucking live video? Come on. And that's why they have this whole backup excuse that they can just say fake news. That's the golden ticket Donald Trump gave these people to justify not acknowledging truth when they see it. Because as long as it's from a source that they can claim is fake news, like, they think that just gives them this free pass to act like it's not real, and that's just so much cope and self-denial right there, because they know it's real. They see it. It's just such bad faith. They always just act in bad faith. You bring up a legitimate argument with a Trump supporter, and I was talking with a Trump supporter the other day, and we were talking about, so we had an argument, and this is something that I knew growing up, and they actually taught me a lot of Christian values, the values that I have. I'm not a Christian, but I did learn the values. And the reason I'm not a Christian is because of Trump people. But anyways, I was upset by their support of Donald Trump. And because there's someone that actually knew me, they listened to me and heard me out. And I explained, look, you're someone who taught me things about the Bible. And you understand that there's only one time in the Bible where Jesus Christ lost his temper. And that's when he flipped the tables of the Pharisees because they were grifting the people in his name. And so Jesus lost his shit. He went in there and he flipped the tables of all the fucking Pharisees. A Pharisee is basically just an old-timey Bible word for what grifting MAGA people are, like people like Clint Curtis and Patrick Jones and Kevin Cry. These are Pharisees, because they know that they're manipulating the stupid people that follow them by using things like Jesus and patriotism, but they know that they're manipulating them, so those are the Pharisees. And so that's who Jesus got the most mad at. And the third commandment, it says, thou shalt not use the Lord's name in vain. And I'm explaining this all to this person who's listening to me, because they know that I can actually hit them back with some Bible facts that they helped teach me. And so I was like, that doesn't mean like we all thought growing up that you just can't say Jesus Christ or God damn it or something like that. It meant that Jesus lost his temper because people were using his name to do something illicit, to do something that he didn't want done in his name. And then I explained how that compares to what Trump has done, and I was like, look how he's selling Bibles. He's using the Lord's name in vain and using the Lord's name to prop up this bullshit MAGA movement so that he can grift all these religious people who are now doing things like praising him and, saying that he's been sent by God. You know, which is another commandment, thou shalt have no false idols. It's just this, and I'm explaining this all, and he really kind of, I think, changed his tune a bit and understood where I was coming from, and then even admitted that, yeah, maybe he has sort of forgotten about his actual Christian values by being caught up in all the Trump stuff, you know? And then after all that conversation where I really thought, like, I'm getting through, they're hearing me out, he brings up Joe Biden. I mean, it's like, come on. I just said a bunch of real shit to you that you know you believe in that has nothing to do with Joe Biden. And you bring up Joe Biden. Where do you think you learned that? And that's the thing, is it's like, the way Trump talks, the way he has his people talk, it somehow does something to these people. What that tells me is that there was already something inside of them that was prone to being so affected by the type of rhetoric and campaign that President Trump does. You know, that the way he speaks to people, the way he came on the scene, the way he's a bully, the way he never apologizes, the way he treats women, the way he's just a complete asshole and he gets away with everything. And it's like, the people that adore that just make me think, like, is that because that's what you want to be? You want to be a piece of shit like that? That's the type of fucking person you want to be. You're some country bumpkin who grew up in the sticks doing normal country shit, and then this guy came along and you want to forsake every value you ever had to follow this billionaire from New York? Like, how does that make any sense? Okay, it makes no sense to me, because I grew up in the same country-ass, bumpkin-ass place too, and Trump didn't inspire me to fucking want to be like him. So I don't understand why it inspired all these other people, unless there was something in them that was already fucked up, and he connected with that. So then once that connection was made, it was really easy for him to just make bad faith points and just say whatever he wanted, lie about everything, and he knew all these people were just gonna fucking go along with it in bad faith no matter what. And it just sucks, and it's disappointing, and it's just, Trump really showed me how absolute pieces of shit so many people in this country are. That's what he exposed.